Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to check the video out. Always appreciate that. And guys, today I got what I think is going to be a really good video for you guys, because I think a lot of people don't realize this, but we're going to talk about what bass do and how to catch bass, specifically in the fall time of the year when the water levels start falling. Normally, like here in Missouri, it's super dry right now, and when you start to get like in August, September, October, even sometimes in November, a lot of times these are pretty dry periods of the year. And most every lake I've ever been to, unless you get some type of a tropical disturbance or abnormality in a weather pattern, the lake levels start dropping this time of year. And the fish do some stuff that are very surprising. It's like sort of counterintuitive to what you think. So we're going to get into that in today's video. I'm going to give you guys some of my favorite techniques to catch them this time of year if you got water levels dropping in the lake you're fishing. I'm also, guys, just a quick invitation. I've got my new Blaukats Corner page up on Tackle Warehouse right now. We just put up the October picks. So this is a page that Tackle Warehouse has created for me. And every month I put what I think is the top 5 or 6 lures for that specific month with a correlating video attached to it and some tips and advice. So if you're interested in checking that out, guys, and ordering some of the stuff I talk about, I'll put my Tackle Warehouse Blaukats Corner link in the description of the video. Really appreciate that. Okay, guys, here's what the deal is. It's like most of the time, you know, there's a lot of the lakes across the country, they begin pulling the water a little bit in the fall time of the year. Power generation, it's just whatever they do. There's a couple different reasons. Sometimes they'll pull a little bit more in the winter in preparation for the spring rains. But most of the time you do have water dropping a little bit in the fall time of the year. Elijah, what are you doing there? Elijah's over there pounding on something real quick. So anyway, for the most part, you do have sort of a slow, steady, consistent drop in the water levels around, you know, most part of the country. It can be anywhere between 2 to 4 feet, just depending upon where you're at. Hold on one second. Elijah, you're gonna have to go somewhere else with that. Okay. He's got his project. He's into this deal now on YouTube, guys. They have a lot of stuff like making stuff out of iron and, you know, stone tools. He's been watching that and coming out here and doing it all the time, usually pounding on something. So anyway, back to this thing, you got this slow, you know, decrease in water levels. And here's the thing, sort of the misnomer with this. The conventional ways of thinking or conventional wisdom would think is if the water levels are dropping, the fish are going to pull out, you know, as the water drops down, and they're going to move deeper, you know, to get into some deeper water. That is one of the biggest myths in fishing this time of year. It's been my experience in the fall time of the year, specifically like right now where we're talking about, as the water levels fall, the fish move shallower. They move shallower as that water level falls. And it's sort of like, there's probably a couple different reasons for this. It could be because there's more bait up shallow. It could be oxygen levels a little bit better. You know, the cover this time of year is not quite as important to them as the water temperatures drop. But when you have these cooler nights and the water temperatures are cooling down, I just think that there's probably more feeding opportunities in the shallow water right now, specifically until it gets really cool. So they stay shallow. And almost any lake that I've ever fished out there, regardless of the water clarity, when that water starts dropping, you have a percentage of the fish in the lake that begin to move shallower than they even were in the summertime. Now, this isn't all of them, because you've got different groups of fish in any lake, depending upon the water clarity, that use different depths. Say, for example, if you've got a lake that has 4 foot of visibility in it, you're going to have some fish that are really, really shallow as the water levels are dropping. You're going to have some fish that are suspended, and you're going to have some fish that are deep. But those fish that normally live in that shallower water are going to move even shallower than they have before. Now, the techniques that you want to use for this are completely dependent upon your water clarity. Water clarity has everything to do with techniques and association with water temperature for the most part. So here's some of the favorite things I like to do when the water level starts dropping based upon your water clarity. Well, let's start a little bit with dirtier water, we'll move to clearer. If you have a stained water lake where the water visibility is less than 2 foot. Say 2 foot is your maximum visibility, and you have a lot of visibility about 1 feet or so. This is the time of year you want to put a small crankbait on. Any type of a small crankbait, fishing around any type of rock cover is going to be really, really good, because the rock cover usually extends out into the lake. So as the water levels drop, they can continue using shallow rock. Riprap is really good in dropping water with a little crankbait. And I like something like that Megabass Super Z1, Super Z2, little Bandit 200 crankbait. Some type of a crankbait that's like a little over an inch long is going to be really, really good. Probably my favorite way to catch them in the fall time of the year. Now, in that same condition, if you have cover that's other than rock, say you've got some that are dropping the water a little bit, and you've got some shallower docks, or you got some lay down trees, lay down logs in the water, a little small spinnerbait is going to be good, like a little small profile 1/4 ounce or 3/8 ounce spinnerbait fished around that shallow wood. And if you have dock cover when that water level's dropping, you can't beat a jig. Just like that, my Blaukats throwback jig, some type of a full-size jig, usually in some type of a darker color, since the water clarity is a little bit less. But a jig works really good around those shallow docks and dirty water. Now, if you got a little bit cleaner water, say that water visibility is sort of in that 2 to 4 foot range, which it is in a lot of different areas, all the same stuff can work. You can still have those fish to be caught on the shallow crankbaits and the spinnerbaits if you're down closer to that 2 foot range. But as that water visibility starts to increase, say you're in that 3 to 4 foot zone, one of my favorite ways to catch them on fallen water is a fluke, just that Zoom Super Fluke. Same type of thing. I'll just fish it down rocky banks, fish it down, any type of round wood cover, around some grass beds, whatever you have in that. Chatterbait is also good, something that goes horizontal through the water column. But that fluke is really good. A lot of people don't fish it in the fall time. They sort of think it's a springtime bait, but like a pearl colored fluke, if you got 3 foot of water visibility, can be really, really good. Another bait that works really good for me, if I've got closer to that 4 foot of visibility, is some type of a wake bait, like a redfin, or just some type of a wake bait that you can just wobble across the surface. I've caught a lot of fish on that in that real shallow water when it's dropping, especially if you don't have any wind or it's really, really slick. But my personal thing, guys, is when that water level's dropping, I don't like to fish that typical water range. I either want it to be real clear or I want it to be off colored. So I look for those areas. If the water's dropping in October, I will search either the lower end of the lake where it's the cleanest water that I can find, or the upper end of the lake where it's the dirtiest water I can find. I find that those two extremes are much more productive in the fall when the water drops. And if the water's clear, like over 4 foot of visibility, guys, the only thing you need is dang topwater. One other thing with that, a little burning a spinnerbait is going to be also good. We'll talk about that. But if you've got water visibility of 4 feet or cleaner, this is my absolute favorite time to fish a topwater when that water level's dropping. A walking topwater like a Xeraspook or a Megabass Diamante is probably my favorite. The colors that I use are based upon the sky conditions. Probably my 2 favorite color that time of year is a black one or a chrome one. I fish the black in the lower light conditions, and the chrome when it's a little bit brighter. It can be really, really good. Same deal, fishing right on the bank, super, super shallow, even in that clear water. Another bait that works good is some type of a buzzing frog, like I like that Zoom frog, Zoom horny toad, ribbit toad. Some type of a buzzing frog can be really, really good, especially if you don't have much wind. Whopper plopper can be pretty good as long as that water temperature is above 60 degrees. If you're fishing like September, October, when that water temperature is still, close to 70 or over 70, whopper plopper can be really good. And these are techniques that I'll use if the wind's not blowing much. But if the wind is blowing and I have dropping water, you hear me talk about this a lot, guys, like a little 3/8 ounce spinnerbait like that Megabass SV3, burning it across just under the surface. That is a great way to catch them when the water levels are dropping. So anyway, guys, that's just a few of my favorite ways to catch them. The main thing, oh, one other bait I'll throw in there with the crankbaits that works really good. That they don't, I don't even know if they make this anymore. Is that old Rebel Deep We-R. I think you probably have to order them off of eBay or something. But that Rebel Deep We-R or that Rebel Humpy crankbait, really good when the water's dropping. Also, guys, I'll put some of my favorite drop in water lures in my Tackle Warehouse description in this video if you guys want to check that out. Main thing to remember, guys, overall, anything that I can tell you is when you go to the lake and you can see the water's a little low, and you can look at the lake reports and say the water's falling a little bit, move shallow. Move shallower than you fished all year long, and regardless of the sun conditions, regardless of the wind conditions, they're going to be there. It's just a matter of adjusting your technique. So anyway, guys, hope it helps. We'll see it.